Election 2024 is now over. I was watching, like many of you, until late at night, the returns. I probably didn't get into bed till about 3 o'clock in the morning because I wanted to see how these things were going to turn out. And I have to say, I was pretty pleased with it as far as the positions go. If you know me or if you watch my channel, you know that I think abortion is the number one issue, at least it should be in people's minds. And so I was happy that Trump won the election because his opponent, Kamala Harris, is so overtly for abortion. I am not, I am kind of concerned with Trump and some of the softer stance that he has taken on abortion, but he's done some great things in the past as far as Supreme Court justices. But if Kamala had won, it would have just been let's push for abortion. And that would, of course, have been wrong. But I was watching these positions all through the night. I was happy with the governor here in Indiana. Mike Braun was elected. And at this point, right now, as I'm recording this Friday morning, I don't think that they have officially called who is going to win the majority in the House, but it really looking like the Republicans are going to do it. So I was watching all this, and I was very happy with that. But there's something I was very concerned about. I had a page up, and I'm going to show you this page. It's actually from CNN. Because it wasn't only the president and senators and House representatives, governors that were up for election, but in 10 states, abortion was literally on the ballot. Um, and I was watching this page. I kept going, because I like everybody else. I have all these tabs open. I have the TV going, and I'm just keep going between everything, just trying to see what's going on. Somehow we get the idea. The more I refresh, the more I can actually change the outcome of the election. Right now, we can't do that. But I kept going back to this page, which I found was very interesting. These 10 states had abortion was literally on the ballot in these states um, for whatever reason. So maybe if you live in some of these states, you know about them, Arizona. And so I kept blowing back and looking these. And of the 10 states, 7 of them voted to uphold or to put abortion in their constitution. I believe these are all constitutional amendments here. And I was watching this to see some things. So, Arizona, that one passed. And really, once the votes started coming in, most of these weren't even really a question. Now, Florida, that was a really big deal because Governor DeSantis and his wife were just going all over Florida trying to get people not to vote for Amendment 4 on abortion. And it did not pass. Now, the concerning thing is 57.2% wanted it to pass. But in Florida, it needs a 60% majority to change the constitution. So it did not pass. But if it would have been a simple majority, it would have. And that's what's really scary about this, even though, boy, Florida went overtly red this year, so much more than in the past several times. So that was interesting. Missouri passed there. South Dakota did not. 58.6 to 41.4. Do I? Yeah. So that was better, but still 41% want to put it um in their state constitution. Then over here we have Colorado, which passed about 61 or 62 to 38%. Maryland's a pass. Wow, look at that one. I hadn't really looked at these numbers closely. 70, almost 75% of the people in Maryland wanted to change their constitution of their state to allow abortion or expand abortion. Wow, that's incredible. Montana, even Montana, good old rural Montana, and Nevada passed it. And New York, boy, there's a surprise. But what's surprising to me is only 61% in New York, because that is so liberal. But I guess New York State, maybe some of the people from the outlying regions came in and voted against it. But that's interesting. But then, of course, down in Nebraska, you had 2 measures, kind of dueling measures, and they went the right way on it. And I was watching this one through the night, and I really did not think it was going to come out the right way. But to enshrine their current 12-week ban, which, yeah, it should be better than that, but at least there's some kind of a ban. 55% were in favor of that, and then 51% against legalizing through viability. So that's what I found very interesting. I did not like that. I wish all 10 of those states would have said, no, look, we're just absolutely not going to go for abortion, but they didn't. But in all, I was pretty happy with the way things turned out. So across the board, Republicans were victorious, and obviously not everywhere, but across the board. And with Trump winning by the margin that he did, was just really interesting to watch all that. And so I was listening to commentators talk about why the Democrats didn't win, and this is one of the things that I've heard said, and that they are saying that it seems like abortion was not an issue like people thought it was. Now, I think it should be an issue. For me, it is the primary issue. But their take was because Democrats aren't as overtly pro abortion as maybe Kamala Harris and the Democrat people thought, um, maybe that's why she didn't win. Now, I think there were a lot of reasons she didn't win. I think, first of all, nobody wanted her to be president. I mean, she can't win a primary. I mean, they were kind of stuck with her. So yeah, Kamala, let's be all excited, but nobody wanted her to be the president, really, except maybe, obviously maybe a few, but across the board, she wasn't the one that they wanted. But the Democrat platform made abortion the big thing. And if you haven't read their platform, I would encourage you to read it. Go watch my video that I did on it recently on this channel. I went through it and we saw how abortion was the central issue. Everything kept coming back to abortion. And apparently the Democrats were saying, well, there's other things to us that are more important than pushing abortion. I mean, you can still go and get abortions, but what about this economy that's in a mess and, whatever. So I just find it interesting. What are the American people thinking? Many of these states vote for abortion, but they didn't vote for the pro-abortion candidate. There's something to that, and I'll leave that for all the political pundits who spend their lives getting into all that. But I just find that interesting. But what I also find interesting is that when you look at the overall election and then you look at these states, many, maybe most Republicans did not vote Republican, or the people, anyway, maybe I shouldn't say Republicans, the people who voted for Trump and for this huge red wave, uh, they apparently were not voting basically because of abortion. Now, hopefully Christians were, but many people were not because it went pro-abortion in so many of these states. So maybe abortion isn't as big issue to so many people as it should be. So this is concerning to me. I think it ought to be at the top of our list. But I was thinking about this, and these laws. Obviously, with the overturning of Roe versus Wade, many states are saying, "Hey, let's enshrine this in our constitution, or let's prohibit it in our constitution." And I was discouraged about that website I just showed you. But I also got thinking about how do we actually end abortion? We don't end abortion through laws. All right. Laws do not perform abortions. Obviously, I think abortion should be outlawed, just like any crime. Yeah, I should not be able to tie up my children and go throw them in a lake or feed them to the crocodiles. I shouldn't be able to do that. Well, that's personal freedom. No, there's somebody else's life at stake here. I can't take somebody else's life just because I don't want them to live. And in the same way, you shouldn't allow a person to kill a baby. A doctor shouldn't be doing it. An innocent baby in there. And I'm not talking about, if we're going to save the life of the mother, that's a totally different subject. But for a mother to say, I don't want this baby, I want to kill this baby, for the doctor to do it, that totally should be outlawed because that is murder. It's infanticide. But laws are not going to necessarily change it. Now, if we had laws against abortion, obviously, we would have fewer abortions. We'd also have people going to back alleys. And, that's the argument you always hear. And the law does teach, if we have anti-abortion laws, many people they just don't think for themselves. And so whatever the law says is right. So that would be a good thing in that sense. Well, abortion's wrong because we have laws against it, even though that's not why abortion is wrong. But we have to remember that laws do not perform abortions. Pro-abortion laws do not perform abortions. If there was a constitutional amendment in the United States, and constitutional amendments in all the in every state, that you can have abortion at any time for any reason, and the government were to pay for it. It's not those laws that perform the abortions. It's still the women going in there and their husbands pushing them to do it and the doctors doing it. That is what performs abortions, not the people. So as we're watching the elections, I saw this meme. Many of you probably saw it also. Let me get it for you. So it was kind of a lighthearted thing. This is where the kangaroos come in. If you saw in the thumbnail there, the kangaroos, you've probably seen this floating around. It's kind of a lighthearted way of dealing with the election. Okay, this is a map of kangaroo ownership legality. Where can you have kangaroos? So I need to move this over here so I can see it better. So the states in green, you can own a kangaroo without a permit. The states in orange, you can own it with a permit, and in the states in red, it's illegal. Now, I am going to tell you, I did not find it worthwhile to actually research whether this map is true because it's irrelevant for our conversation. Can you own a kangaroo? Can you not own a kangaroo? I really don't care. But here's my point on this thing. What if owning a kangaroo is legal in every state? If owning a kangaroo is legal in every state, are most people going to own a kangaroo? Now, you say, what would I do with a kangaroo? I mean, you can't take a kangaroo for a walk, right? You got to take it for a hop. And what are you going to do with a kangaroo? Maybe there's a special diet, maybe there's a special climate. If it's what does it say? It's red, so it's illegal. According to this map, it's illegal in the state of Indiana. Who cares? I'm not going to go out and get a kangaroo, right? If it was completely legal, I could go get a kangaroo. I'm not going to get a kangaroo. I don't. I have no desire to go out and buy one of these things and to keep it in my house or my yard. Okay, I'm not going to do it. So here's the point: if abortion was legal in every state, in every municipality, across the board, if abortion was completely legal, that would not cause abortions because it's people who cause abortions. What we need to do is we need to change the fact that people want to have abortions. How do we do this? Now, how do we stop abortions from happening? One is we need to start with the laws. We can't start with the laws, we can start with politicians. And that's why I could not vote for Democrat platform in this or basically any election ever. Laws, people who are supporting these things. I can't vote for someone who supports it. I can't vote for laws for it. I can't vote for constitutional amendments for it because it's wrong. It is a sin. But changing the law is not going to change how many babies die. Remember, our point in this is not political. Our point is not we want to be an anti-abortion country. We want to have, the right to life, which that is a fundamental right, the right to life. That, we want to get where we have anti-abortion laws or pro-life laws. That's not the point here. The point is we don't want babies to die. That's what we're looking at here. And even if abortion is legal across the board, if those laws are sitting there and there's nobody taking advantage of them, nobody killing their babies, we have won because we're not killing the babies. That is our point. A life is made in the image of God. And so our point is not let's fix our laws. Our point is let's let these babies live. Okay, let's make abortion the laws that allow for abortion. Let's make those moot. Let's make those unnecessary because nobody wants to go out and have an abortion. Just like nobody wants to go out and have a kangaroo. If you have a kangaroo, more power to you. I have no reason, and nobody send me a kangaroo. Okay, I don't want one. It's illegal in Indiana, apparently, according to that map. So how do we end abortion? We can start with the laws, we can start with politicians, but we want to make sure that nobody actually wants to get an abortion. That's our point. Make sure nobody wants it. But how do we do it? How do we make sure that nobody actually wants to get an abortion? Well, maybe there's some ideas that we have, and one is we can promote abstinence. Now, this is kind of a dirty word sometime in society. What? You're going to cut down on people's freedoms? What's this? If obviously I'm not talking about married people, but if only married people get pregnant, that's going to cut down on a lot of abortions because a lot of it, you'd have to look at the numbers. I would guess that a lot of it is people who aren't married, young girls, whatever. And so it's going to cut down on it. We have this so-called free love society, which, boy, it's strange. What? You can't just go and do whatever you want. But that's not strange. It's what we're designed to be. Sex is reserved for a married man and a woman. And of course, the question always going to come up, well, what about rape or incest? Okay, what about rape or incest? Those are the things that always come up. But I want to point this out. Well, what about exceptions for rape or incest? So we should allow abortion. Well, first of all, why do we say rape or incest? Because if this act was non-consensual, then it's rape. It doesn't matter who it's with, whether it's with a sibling or whatever. If it's non-consensual, it's rape. And if it is consensual, why do we call it incest? Okay, it's illegitimate sex because it's between two people who are not married. So Maybe it just sounds better. We have two exceptions: rape and incest, right? So forget the incest part. That's if it was non consensual, it's rape. But then what about rape? Okay, that's another, that's not necessarily the subject of this one, but just for thought, just because somebody has sinned, why would we kill this baby? This is still a life, okay? Because it's never right to justify a wrong by doing another one like that. So how do we make sure nobody wants an abortion? Number one, promote abstinence. If only married people are getting pregnant, that's just going to automatically cut down on a lot of them. Not all of them, obviously, but it'll cut down on a lot of them. And I think another thing we need to do is teach people to value life. Now, this is where it should be automatic with Christians. We shouldn't have to tell Christians that abortion is wrong, because we understand that life is something that is special and is something that has been made by God. We're made in the image of God. Uh, One of the ways we can do this also, obviously, with the Bible, talk about how the Bible promotes life, and being made in the image of God is such a big deal. And need to show them, use ultrasounds to show them, hey, look, you see this baby in here, that's just beginning to perform? Look, that's a person. It's not just a human, but it's a person. It's someone made in God's image. And show them, wow, this is important. And that's why our church supports the Women's Center of Northwest Indiana, because this is a place where these pregnant girls can come in and get an ultrasound and they see a baby and wow, this is actually a person. We want to show them that this is life and that this values life. But one of the ways people, well, maybe I should say it this way: many people don't make decisions based on fact. Wow, this is a life made in the image of God, and if I abort this baby, I'm taking a life. Many people don't act upon facts, but they act on emotion. So maybe we need to try to reach people through their emotions. How do we do that? Well, how about, excuse me, how about talking about how abortions happen? And how about talking about what you're missing, never knowing this child, never knowing this child, and maybe show pictures of how dismembering abortions happen and things apply. Try to really work to the emotions and show them, because the point isn't just we want pro-life laws. The point is that we want babies to be able to be born and have a life and grow up and be able to serve God with their life. That is what we're looking for. So kangaroos and abortion. We want anti-abortion laws. We want pro-life laws. We want pro-life politicians. But most of all, we want these babies to be able to have a chance at life. And most importantly, we just want to obey God. God made life. He says it's wrong to murder, so it's wrong to murder, and we want that to end in this country. Well, that's my thoughts. So much more I could say about election 2024, but I think that's the important thing. So I'll see you next time. God bless.